Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Universal Journeys radio show with your hosts, Dr. Brenda L. Bates and Donny Winter. Follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Universal Journeys radio is about how spirituality intersects with nearly every other aspect of our lives, even when we do not see it or realize it. Creativity and expression are our connections to the spiritual energy many seek to understand, and our identity is forged through this process. Universal Journey seeks to help illuminate the different intersections between creativity, spirituality, and identity in order to empower and enlighten. Tonight, our topic is creating your legacy, and we will have a musical guest and regular guest, Tiffany Gray, who will be tuning in shortly. Hello, Brenda, dear.
Hello, how are you tonight?
I am good. I am surprised. I didn't think you'd be on till later, perhaps.
Hey, it's just me. I love this show so much that I figured, hey, I'm home. I'm not so rested, but I'm still home, and I'm available. So I was like, why not? I'm here. Hey.
Well, you're home already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, I didn't know that you got home that fast.
Yeah,
well, that is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I got home about 3:30 this afternoon.
Oh, okay. Well, we're happy you're here because we love you.
Yeah, well, I love you guys too. So I'm gonna chill out here and listen to what you guys have to say and maybe pipe in every once in a while. But other than that, you guys got it.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan to me. Okay, so this idea I've been contending with for quite a long time about creating our legacy, because we may not realize it, but every little decision that we make sparks a fire that continues to ignite and, spread to different things. I guess that could be a horrible analogy because that sounds like destructiveness. But think of it as like you're planting a seed and it grows, a seed of legacy, and it grows into this huge legacy tree. And that's been something that I've been mulling over lately, because way back when I made a series of decisions that culminated into, everything that I am doing in life at the very moment. And I thought it would be interesting for us to go along and, discuss this and share our different legacies and how we created them and how other people may be able to create their own legacy if they're not aware of it. In fact, I would like to point out that even though people are not realizing it, they're always creating their own legacy, because, like I was saying earlier, our decisions that we make every day create who we become. And it looks like Tiffany is in the call room, so I'm going to bring her in. Hello, Tiffany, dear.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on again.
You're welcome. Okay, so I've introduced the subject, you were probably listening, about creating a legacy. And I guess my first question for you, because I feel like you're at a point in your life where things are starting to fall into place and you're starting to definitely make an impact on the people around you. And my question is, do you ever think about what you'll leave behind in this world by any chance?
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of things that I want to leave behind in this world. Not just my music, but my story and my message that goes with the songs that I sing. And I want to spread autism acceptance and just acceptance in general. And I want people to be more open-minded, and I want to bring joy into people's lives and to know that I have made a lot of people smile, and that's what I love to do with my music, is tell my story, spread the message, and make people smile and just do something good.
Mm-hmm. I completely understand that. And I can connect with it, too, because I've gone through that similar experience. Now, I was looking back and thinking about the very first moment when I decided that I was going to pursue what I'm pursuing right now. And, I made the choice that I wanted to start doing things on YouTube, that I wanted to start, talking about current issues within the gay community. I've even jumped on the autism acceptance bandwagon because many of my close friends are autistic. I also made the decision to be on this show with Brenda, kind of, caressing my inner spiritual side that I rarely ever express day to day. And, I was thinking about the very first moment when that spark happened, and I think that was in high school. Because in high school, I remember people would always criticize me for even speaking, and at that point in my life, I was the type of person who would instinctually cower and hide from people that way, in order to avoid being noticed in any feasible way. And from then on out, I was like, how am I going to succeed if I continually let people bury me, or I continually let people to force me into hiding? I would never succeed because of that. And at that point in my life, I really wasn't creating any sort of legacy. Basically, I was making choices, and I was, doing my thing. Back then, my thing was writing fan fiction and really, really horrible poetry at that point in my life. And then I was like, okay, I need to make some sort of change. And that moment when I chose to make that change, that sounds incredibly repetitive, but you know what I mean. When I chose that, I planted a seed that started growing, and I really didn't realize it until now, because that seed helped me become more confident in my voice. It helped me become more aware of my influence on things around me. And I never realized that I had an influence on people until I started speaking. So it's a very comforting thought to know that, what people do take into consideration what I say. On your YouTube, you've been talking about this type of thing too, because people are always invalidating people because of their own expression, right? And I know you've talked about people accepting the fact that you were expressing your feelings. Would you like to talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like that's very important when it comes to your own legacy, because you want to help promote that awareness.
Yeah, I have had people invalidate my feelings before. In fact, I've had a lot of people do that to me in the past. Every time I open up and say how I feel about something, people, would shut me down with cliches like, oh, deal with it, get over it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's such an ignorant way to think. I feel like we all need to just express our feelings, get them off our chest, because that's like a step closer to accepting each other, is accepting that we have our own feelings and we have our own thoughts, and each of us, mm-hmm. we're all different, and I think that if we can accept ourselves and accept our feelings and that we're all different, then we can accept each other, and that's definitely a huge step to peace,
Mhm. Well, I know you've had friends in the past, because we try to entrust within friends, the whole idea that we can go to them and talk to them, and I'm thankful to have amazing friends like that, like you and Brenda, who will always listen to me and not criticize me. But I know you've mm-hmm. had a lot of experiences in the past where you've had to deal with a lot of friends being incredibly cruel to you, and the thing is, the thing that worries me about friends who do that to people is that kind of, stomps on that seed we plant. Like, we try to be open, we try to be understanding, and we try to express ourselves without being afraid, but when people end up doing that, that ends up pushing us back into that little shell that we create. And I guess my question, Tiffany, is how did you get through that type of thing? Because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And there are so many people out there right now who cultivate this, legacy that they want to create, this expression, but because of people's discouragement, they end up not doing it. So how did you get through that? How did you push through those people who were being hateful?
I honestly don't know exactly how I managed to push through. I guess maybe it was through music, and I also love to write lyrics, so sometimes I would write my feelings down in lyrics and poetry, and sometimes through my stories, and then when you came along, you definitely provided a safe place for me to go whenever I had a problem or whenever I just had something that I wanted to express, because I feel like with people like you, I can be completely honest. I can say if I have a problem, or if I have like an idea, or if I have a thought, like some thoughts on a particular issue, I can come to you and you don't criticize me and you don't put me down and shut me down. And I really wish that there were more people like you in this world, because like I said, I feel like it would be
so sweet.
I feel like this world would be so much better if there were more people like you.
That really means a lot to hear, and I feel the same way about you and Brenda. I think the world could use more of both of you. Now, Brenda, I'm going to drag you into the conversation too. Brace yourself.
Sure.
So, I know you've dealt with people like this many times in the past. You people who are overly eager to be like, "Oh, why are you doing that? Like, you shouldn't do that. That's dumb," or, things like that. Or people who invalidate your feelings, or people who, completely just brush how you're feeling under the rug. How did you get through it? Like, how did you push through and continue building your own legacy?
Well, at first, like you guys, like both of you've already mentioned, I mean, it is a tough thing. You want to please, and there comes a time in your life when you say, all right, this is not working for me. Okay, what other people want me to do or want for me, and they think it's the right thing and it's the good thing for me to do, and it really isn't, because you struggle. And I know you guys struggled with what people have told you to do, and then yet it doesn't feel quite right. So what I decided, and this was later on in life, I mean, this is not that many years ago, maybe about 20 years ago or so, that I finally said to myself, I can't do what other people want me to do, and I have to be myself. And during that time frame, I also went through a divorce, so I was recreating who I was, or creating who I was, because I didn't know. Because what I had done, because of being married, is I went ahead and became what that individual wanted me to be, or what I thought that he wanted me to be, and I liked the stuff that he liked, and things like that. But when that identity is gone, you no longer resonate with that person, and then you have to figure out who you are. And then during that process of me figuring out who I am, I had to create who I was. I had to go back. I liked when I was growing up, in school and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, this is kind of what I liked. And I went back to explore those. And then during that process, I figured out what I really did like. And, throughout those years, things that I realized, abilities especially, of what I had that was natural to me. When I was growing up, the Bible says the psychic is bad. Well, in my latter 30s, I became intuitive. And my first thought was, oh my God, I'm a psychic, I'm going to die, type of thing, and that's bad. And I had to get through that. I had to get through what people were telling me. It's like, no, this is a God-given gift. This is what I have to go through, and I have to explore it, and I have to understand it. And the big thing was understanding, and I'm working through all of the negative, bad connotation stuff toward that. And once I said, okay, enough is enough, haters are going to hate, People are going to tell you that it's bad, or people are like, oh, don't go in that direction. It's like you have to explore. The beauty for me was, like you, Donny, and Tiffany, is having people behind you who really did support you on whatever it was that you were going to do or that you ended up doing. And if you got into trouble, they were like, okay, come on, back this way. Okay, we can get through this, type of deal. They were there to support you every step of the way. I had that too, a little bit differently what you guys did, but I had that too. And that really is what makes us, is people who allow us to be and do and say and all the rest of the stuff ourselves, to who we figure out who we are, or until we figure out who we are. But they allow us to do that. That's the main focus right there. That's the main thing, is you need those type of people in your life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And when you don't have them, you have to let the other ones go. It's like, okay, thanks for the advice. I'll take it under consideration, and I've said that many times, and then go forward and do what you're going to do anyways.
And, I find it very interesting, Brenda, that you mentioned the backtracking, because sometimes we really get down on ourselves for looking backward and thinking, oh, we're stuck in the past. Why do we keep repeating things? And in all actuality, sometimes we have to go backward in order to recapture what we were, in order to create harm.
Right, because you need bits and pieces of yourself, of that particular aspect, to be able to go forward, because you need to remember at least a little bit of it. You don't have to repeat the whole thing.
Exactly. And so I guess, I never really realized that until you just mentioned that, because I'm always the person who has gotten really down on myself, being like, oh my gosh, I was at this point mentally like 4 years ago. I shouldn't be feeling this way again. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be remembering that feeling in order to remind myself, how far I've come, or, things that I used to like exactly what you said. And that's a very riveting thought. I like that.
Yep.
Brenda, you're awesome.
Thank you. But it's just a part of going forward with that. And if I didn't follow, just like my own thing, I'm gonna say it again. If I didn't follow my heart, then I wouldn't know the right path. And that's why I have follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. That is your legacy.
And that is such a good quote.
I love it. We actually have a caller on the hold. So did we want to bring the caller in?
It's up to you guys.
All right, we will. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
It's Mindy.
Hi, Mindy.
Mindy, hello. How are you?
How are you? When I hear your voices, I am just pulled in. It's so beautiful to hear you.
Thank you. You too.
We adore you. Mindy, before we move forward, I want to introduce you to Tiffany Gray. She is also on the show right now. She is our musical guest. She is a singer from YouTube. Tiffany, this is Mindy. She's one of our callers, and she's also a reader, and she's very intuitive.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
I'm waving, but you can't see me.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome. So you were talking,
Mindy,
guys are talking about individuality, basically, right?
Mhm.
Yes, in a way. Well, we were talking about how every little decision we make creates our legacy. Like, our legacy is a seed that we plant, and it germinates over time. But sometimes what people do or say can, prevent us from focusing on creating who we are. And I had a feeling that you would find interest in this show particularly, because I know you've had a lot of experience with, recreating yourself and, coming to new realizations.
Well, the truth is, it's hard to do that. I mean, it takes a lot of maturity and a sense of self to keep reevaluating and to pull back and to totally take responsibility for your thoughts and for where you are without being influenced. It's hard. It's a daily, I don't want to say struggle because I don't feel that way, but it's a responsibility. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are responsible ultimately for ourselves.
Right. Well, and I mean, if we were to call it a struggle, hypothetically, like I don't necessarily think that would not be a negative thing, because sometimes that struggle helps us discover something different. And I mean, at least when I go through struggles, at least nowadays, back then I was always like, why is this happening to me? Now I'm like, okay, this situation is, not convenient, but I need to examine the situation and determine why it's happening and what I can gain from it and what I can learn from it. And usually that's how I get myself back on track.
Mhm. Yes. And I've been lately telling myself, no matter what happens, I'm responsible for my thoughts and my well-being, so that this way the situation remains external and I can own internal. And that is new to me. But if I panic or I get nervous or I don't know what to do in what I'll call a bad situation, and these happen, from time to time, what do I do? I say, what do I do? What is my part? Oh, yeah. Keep my thoughts healthy and above board, because in the end, that's what I'll answer for, my thoughts. Then I'm able, and somehow the external dissipates. It calms way down when I do that. But when I forget to do that and jump in head first, not good. It usually doesn't end well.
And I know we can speak from experience with that, too, because that happened to me many times.
Here, too.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Brenda?
I totally agree with that. Because when you start to internalize it and you start to look at what your part to play in it is, that's when you start to realize, ooh, okay, yeah, that was my thought. Oh, yep, got to change that type of deal. And then you begin to change. And when you begin to change, think and how you put that information out there, then things start to become better for you. It's not so chaotic because you are really doing your homework. You're doing it. You're changing your thoughts. And
you can much clearer see the other person and their thoughts when you do that. When you rein yours in, you can see how out of control theirs are and how that's hurting them. And it helps. That really can empower you more than jumping in and equally externally, going head-to-head with a situation. I find, anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I had a situation like that.
Remembering to do that, that's the problem.
Yeah, I had a situation like that during my cruise where I had to rein my thoughts in about somebody else's reactions and things like that. And once I did that, I was able to see the God self in them. Okay, I was able to see that part of it, and it's like, okay, and I was able to let it go.
Exactly.
If I would have held on to that, that would not have been good.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
For the good outcome.
I like that juxtaposition of the internal versus the external, because when you're confronted with one of those people who tries to, derail us, our instinct is to react externally with our sensations. We get lost in our emotions, one could argue, and that's what kind of drowns out that little voice in the back of your mind, that little objective voice that's like, okay, you need to think about this. So in all actuality, I mean, I know we've talked about this on the show before, it all comes down to balancing that, subjective and that objective voice, because a lot of the time we just let that subjective voice overtake us and, throw us off kilter. And believe it or not, I think a lot of people who do that are aware that they do that. People, that try to throw other people off kilter. Because it's human nature to react with our feelings, but once we start practicing and realizing it more so, we're more able to balance those two out and examine situations for what they are.
Right, but how do we get to the point where we know to do that or remember, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had to go on the other side to be told to do that. On this side, listen, when we're born, we open our eyes, right? Right away, we're looking outward. No, how do we know?
Well, the thing is we what we're doing right now, we're helping other people to become aware.
Yes.
You know, you had to go inside, okay? You had to become aware that way. There are other incidents where I had to become aware a little bit differently. But still, we are putting this information out there so people can become aware and realize that, oh, maybe I need to start thinking about the way I think about things or the way I look at things and what my part to play in is it, you know? And that's what the spiritual plane, the spiritual new agers, as people call them, is putting out there. So, I mean, it is getting out there, but sometimes we just need kind of like a bonk in the head. You know, I've had several of those.
I don't know why I didn't get it sooner. I mean, I went to every spiritual group, you know, Kabbalah and Tarot, and I don't know what class I didn't go to. And they all say it, and Christian, and I mean, you pick it, I joined. And I still didn't get it completely, that I really was responsible for my thoughts. I thought if someone's mean to me and I'm hurt, it's their fault. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Why would it be my fault? Not fault, but why would it be my responsibility? My automatic reaction is hurt, so that's natural. Now I realize that I still get to choose. I think that's very important to get the point that it's a choice. I don't think I knew that. I thought emotions come naturally, and you don't stop to think.
Right. The other thing about this is that we are taught at a very young age that we need to blame it on God. Give it to God. Everything is God. God did this. God did that. The devil did this. Blame it on the devil. The devil did this. The devil did that.
Well, doesn't God have all power? Must be him.
Yeah. So, but that's what we're taught. We're taught that at a younger age. So that's a natural thing. So that's an outwardly, you know, entity or individual or being or whatever you want to call it. And so we're taught, okay, blame it on the devil. And really, it's not. It's what we do. It's our karma. Okay? What we put out there is going to come back and bite us in the butt, and we're going to think it's because of someone else. It's our deeds and our actions that do that.
You're right.
If we own it, it's much healthier for us because that's how we resolve it.
Well, a good incentive to own it is karma, because
this is true.
Right, if we're not changing our thoughts, and I stick to the word thoughts because the actions and attitudes, they all come after. So if we're not changing our thoughts, we are creating karma. Karma is good and bad. So even if we say we are creating results, we are.
Exactly.
That's the key to everything.
Okay, guys, we are about halfway through the show. We were only doing an hour show today, so we're going to go on break. Mindy, will you be here when we get back?
If you want me to.
Oh, we would love it.
I want to take over your whole show.
You're not But as soon as we get back from break, we're going to do a few advertisements. And the song that we'll be listening to is Tiffany Gray's cover of Key West's song, The Message. And for those of you who do not know, Key West is a emerging musical group out of Ireland who has some very amazing music. And if you would like to go check them out, definitely go do so. Tiffany, can you remember their Facebook page off the top of your off the top of your head? I can't remember it.
Key West Official. all of their social media is Key West Official, and their website is keywestofficial.com.
Okay. Well,
All
if
one
you guys
word.
want to check them out, feel free. They're amazing. Oh, Tiffany, that was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. And the person that was singing with Tiffany is Tim Martin, her voice coach. So, and I will actually just go right ahead and start doing the advertisements here. If you guys want to check out Tiffany Gray's channel, her YouTube channel, if you go to youtube.com and type in Tiffany Gray Singer, that's how you'll find her. She has a lot of great videos. She is very expressive. She also has other channels linked that she also has. One of her channels is like her blog channel, and the other one is her diary channel, and she is an autistic acceptance advocate, so definitely go check her stuff out. It's amazing. Also, if you like listening to our show, feel free to visit our Facebook page, Universal Journeys on Facebook. You just type in Universal Journeys and you will find us. Or if you're in the URL bar, facebook.com/Universal Journeys 111. Also, we wouldn't be able to do our show if it wasn't for the Mystical Awakenings Blog Talk Radio Network. So thank you guys for allowing us to be here and to do this. If you are interested in the other shows on this network, we have, let's see, I hope I do not slaughter this. I believe we have, is it True Paranormal on Monday nights from 9 to 11, Brenda? I think it is.
Yes.
It's True Paranormal on Monday nights from 9 to 11. Sacred Journeys is on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9. Mystical Awakenings is on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9. And What the Hell Was That is on Saturday nights from 9 to 11. And, of course, every Sunday night from 7 to 9 is our show, Universal Journeys. And last but not least, a plug for my own YouTube channel. If you want to check my own stuff out on YouTube, youtube.com/Donny Winter, DONNY Winter. I do a lot of different videos about LGBTQ activism, bullying, survival, a whole slew of different things. So feel free to check out all of those million links that I just gave out to you. Okay, so let's get back to discussing what we were discussing. And Tiffany, I would really like to hear your thoughts on, being aware and being able to control a person's emotions, because I know that people on the autistic spectrum and on the Asperger's spectrum, well, I guess Asperger's is on the autistic spectrum. Ignore my vocal incompetence at the moment. I know that many of those people do not have the luxury of controlling their emotions. So talk to us a bit about that.
Yes, well, for me, usually when someone says something, especially when someone I care about says something or does something that upsets me, I have what is called a shutdown, where I can't really tell them what's going on. My thoughts are scattered everywhere, and I'm having different, thoughts going through my head, and I have to go through and organize them. It's like my brain puked. So so I have to go through and organize all my thoughts. I have to get rid of the bad thoughts. I need to think really hard about what I want to say to resolve the issue. And because if I try to answer someone or tell them what's wrong while I'm still in the middle of my shutdown, I could end up saying something stupid or making the situation worse, and that is definitely not good. But I was going to say that, I do agree that you can choose your emotions, to a point, but for some of us, we don't really have that luxury. Like for me, I can't really pick how something makes me feel. It just does. It's just part of autism. At least for me, it is. I can't really choose how I feel. I just have to go with the flow, and I just have to, handle it the best I know how.
Mhm. Right, and I completely understand that because I'm not on the autistic spectrum, but in the past I have had situations where I have not been able to control my reaction, and I've kind of introverted. And what I realized is I may not have been able to control my emotions. And in all actuality, sometimes controlling your emotions can be just as bad as, just reacting to things. It really depends on the situation. But I realized that it's not how I reacted, it's how I reflect back on that situation and how I move forward from it. Because sometimes, I know at one point, I will actually use Cindy for an example. She's not here, but she is also on the autistic spectrum. But she went through something very difficult at one point in time, and she wasn't able to necessarily control her reaction to it or control the situation. But looking back on it, she's able to control her perception of what had happened at that point in time. So I think for some people, it does have a lot to do with controlling emotions or, anticipating things. But for other people, like people on the autistic spectrum, it's the perception backward of what happened and reflecting on those emotions after the initial event. And I know that a lot of autistic people have meltdowns, sensory overloads, which I guess are meltdowns when I think about it. Or I usually call I sometimes call them social overloads too,
Good name.
because sometimes it's difficult to come up with a reaction to a situation. It's difficult to find the emotions or the words to be able to express your feelings at that very moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tiffany, I guess if there are any autistic listeners out there who are having a difficult time with this type of thing, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would say, just, go with the flow with your emotions, just let yourself feel what you're feeling, but, try to handle it as best you know how. For example, like for me with my shutdowns, when my brain just completely shuts down and I can't really answer, that comes in handy. That can be a really good thing. So just let yourself shut down. That way you can sort through your thoughts and figure out how you want to resolve an issue or how you want to express your feelings and how you want to, and this doesn't really just apply to, like when someone upsets you, but it's also, just your feelings on something in general, or if you have, like ideas, let yourself just, just shut down for a little while, just think and sort through your thoughts. Because, even when I get an idea, a good idea, like a creative idea, a similar thing happens, my brain just goes all over the place. My thoughts go all over the place, and I have to organize my ideas and so I can create something really beautiful or really awesome. So just let yourself do that. Just take some time and sort through your thoughts. Get rid of the ones that you don't want. Get rid of the ones that are not going to help, and just go with the good thoughts that are going to make things better or make things awesome, and just allow yourself to have whatever feelings that you're having, because they're your feelings and they're valid, and you're allowed to have those feelings, and don't let anyone invalidate your feelings.
Amazing advice, Tiffany. I completely agree with you. And, that's interesting because, I never realized this, but I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm always, criticizing why I'm feeling things. And sometimes, sometimes we just have to feel. It's instinctual for people to feel. And I guess I never really, processed that until now, Tiffany. So thank you for bringing that up. Brenda, what do you think?
You caught me off guard there. I wasn't really paying attention. I was, but I wasn't. And
I can reiterate what I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm being honest here because I was like, okay, I was focusing, but I was listening, and it's like
No worries. I can totally reiterate what I was saying to you.
Okay.
So Tiffany was explaining that sometimes you just have to feel. Sometimes you have to just let yourself get through it. And I was reflecting on the fact that, I've, right now in life, I always criticize why I feel things. Like, I'm always like, oh, what is the source of this feeling? Why is it happening? How do I get through it? Without taking into consideration that maybe I just have to experience it to get through it. And I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Well, that's a good one. Because I'm always feeling different things. And sometimes you do have to go through it. The issue or the challenge is figuring out why you have to go through it, or how do you go through it, and is it something that you're picking up from someone else versus you have to go through this emotion. And I think I can give you a little bit of example. I don't like to get upset at people, okay? But there are times when I've noticed that I have to, in order for people to not take advantage of me.
Yes.
So that's like putting that foot down and saying, enough is enough. You have to get a little bit upset because that's the only way to get their attention and to get them to stop doing what they're doing. So you do have to go through emotions. You have to learn how to use them, when to use them, and, and to figure out, okay, is it good, is it not good, or whatever. But you cannot get rid of all of your emotions. That you can't do it. You have to be able to feel, because when you get rid of your emotions, and I've tried, you become numb to everything when you shouldn't be. You become critical, and you really shouldn't. And you become like, that's their issue, that's not my issue type of deal. Or it's like a stone face. You become stone face, and you don't care. You really, the world is about loving one another, having compassion and about one another, helping one another. And without any type of emotion and going through emotion, we are nothing but droids. That's it.
And, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Brenda, the loving everybody. And also we have to love ourselves. And I think the reason why people get to that numb point is because, if we're always criticizing how we feel, that makes us numb, and that makes us, I feel like that makes us not have an appreciation for our ability to feel in the first place, because what defines us is how we feel about things. And I think what both you and Tiffany have been saying is very spot on, because when we inhibit that, it not only could damage other people, but more importantly, it damages ourselves.
Yeah, I can tell you another incident, and this just recently happened to me, and it happened to be on the cruise. There are reasons that I went onto this cruise more than what people think, like I'm on vacation. No, there was other things that I needed to do. And number one, I needed to get to that island and be in that water, that salt water, that beautiful salt water, because two things happened there. One, my body became very cleansed, okay, because all the toxins and everything else because of the salt water was purified out. The other thing was my aura was also cleaned or cleansed of all the gunk that was in it. Through that process, then we went to Nassau. Nassau is a very interesting and very high energy place with a lot of different people. And I had a great time there and bought some really beautiful stuff. And then on the way back, I realized that after getting rid of all that gunk, where I was before I left, that I had gotten complacent with people, with things and everything else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? This is not what I wanted to be. This is not who I am. But yet how did I get all of that junk? I'm glad I got it. I'm glad it's gone. But you get that way until some realization is like, oh, my gosh, I was that way. And tears literally came to my eyes because I was numb. I numbed myself. I numbed those feelings and everything else. And you have to have them in order to be able to really know what people are going through so that you can help them. I mean, this was an eye-opening, spiritual awakening journey that I took. And I'm very grateful that I went.
And I had a feeling it would be too.
Yeah.
You definitely need to go on it.
Emotions are very important. We just need to know to learn how and when to use them.
Exactly.
Now, we can't go on the trauma thing because some people do that very well.
Oh, yeah.
But there are limitations, and we just need to know what is what.
And, I think with the whole drama, what did you call it? Drama trauma?
Yeah, drama, yep.
I think with that's when people are using their feelings to lash out and hurt other people, especially because we have a choice. Want. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a choice. Like, we can face the emotions, experience them, or actually there's three choices. We can face the emotions and experience them and then discover why we had to experience them. We can internalize them and damage ourselves, or we can throw them at other people to get them away from ourselves, which ends up damaging them. So I think the balance is, being in that middle ground where we're, expressing ourselves but not hurting other people or hurting ourselves through that expression.
Well, the other thing with that is we need to take responsibility for our own actions and realize what our actions and our emotions do to other people. Awareness is huge, and it is the thing that we need to do. Awareness.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Oh, I love it.
And again, that's where my shutdowns come in handy.
Because they prevent anything like extreme from happening to either yourself or to other people.
Exactly. And this is one of the many things that I want to leave on this planet, as my legacy is, you're allowed to have your feelings, but you have to know that you're responsible for your actions and the way your feelings make you react. I think that's another thing that I want to leave on this planet is think before you speak, or if you get these really awesome ideas in your head and you get, again, think before you act. That way you can create something awesome.
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I love it. And for me, my legacy is helping people understand that they can share their stories, especially if they're difficult stories, and heal from it. Because if we internalize things and keep them in forever, all that does is it damages our own ability to express. And I think that's one thing, that's something that I've definitely been realizing lately. Okay. Definitely.
And
Brenda, what would you say your legacy? Oh, Tiffany, go ahead. Sorry,
I was just saying that internalizing things can also make you sick too.
Definitely.
Yep.
What affects us on the inside can eventually start affecting us on the outside.
Yes.
So we're down to about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Brenda, what is your legacy? What do you want to leave in this world?
My legacy is, and what I want to leave in this world, the world with, is helping each and every one of you, all of you, to know that you are much more than what you're told you are, and that you have abilities beyond what anybody can fathom. to be able to help you and inspire you to be who you are and follow your heart, okay? But sometimes we need that coaching. My legacy is to say, okay, if I can do it, you can do it. Everyone can do it. That's my legacy.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Well, both of you, thank you for this amazing show. I think it was very, very enlightening. For those of you who enjoy listening to our show, come back next Sunday and we will be having another one. So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll be able to keep track of what topics we will be talking about. All right, so everyone, thank you for joining us. And remember, follow your heart, for only you know which path is right for you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.